I'm Jeff Van Gundy, and you're listening to Thunder Bus.
Welcome to Thunderbus with your hosts, Watson and Bones.
I'm Watson.
And I'm Bones.
We get serious about the Thunder on this podcast.
But we don't get too serious, baby.
Bones, we are glad to be joined once again by T-Dick.
Taylor.
Hey, what's up? What's up? It's me. You know, I know I bring a lot of clout. I know I bring a lot of clout. You guys, what are your numbers when I'm on this pod? 20 to 50K?
Yeah, I mean, between that in the ballpark. And maybe
Between 500 and 50K?
Yeah. I mean, we really try not to look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not what we're in
But
it
look
for.
at these and let me know.
Okay, we'll.
So
For sure.
So let's get into the news of the day, which is the NBA announcing the terms of its return. Basically, the 22 teams are going to come back and
It's back.
going to play 8 regular season games, and then maybe a weird little playoff play-in tournament, and then we do the whole playoff thing.
Yeah, it's wild stuff. So nine Eastern Conference teams and 13 Western Conference teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we get to see a resolution to the big pillow fight for the 8th seed in the West.
Okay, so what I don't understand about this is because they're not going to do 1 through 16 seeding in the playoffs, correct?
Right.
But they're going to bring more West teams than East teams, and they still have to, they'll still battle it out for the 8 seed in the West.
Yeah.
But
Well-
the teams in the East,
Well, the cutoff was if you're within 6 games of the 8th seed in whichever conference.
okay.
So there's
just more closer to the 8 seed in the West than there are in the East.
Exactly.
And that's why.
Because the next team in the East, I believe, is the Hornets, and they were nowhere close.
Yeah.
No.
Plus,
Okay.
fuck the Hornets.
Yeah, Michael Jordan got his fame over the quarantine.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to
They
be
got
in the
enough.
playoffs.
They got enough.
Right.
Man, I didn't know that the Hornets owner was such a good basketball player. Did you guys know this?
Yeah, I know. I knew that. I knew
Mr.
that.
Jordan?
Yeah, I know. I knew that he was all right.
Yeah, I know who he is. He plays his players sometimes to see if they can stay on the team or not. They have to beat their owner.
Do any of those guys beat 55-year-old Michael Jordan?
Kemba dunked on him.
Damn.
Oh, that's legit.
It's very legit. Also, so the 8 regular season games before are to get to 70 games, correct?
I
For
think
TV.
so. Yeah, because they have to fill those contracts for contract purposes, revenue purposes.
And then they're going to have a play-in tournament.
Yeah, and the play-in tournament only happens if whoever's in 9th place at the end of these games is within 4 games of whoever's in 8th place. But apparently that's supposed to be pretty likely to happen.
Yeah.
On the low post with Kevin Pelton, they were saying that they ran all these simulations, and in 80% of the simulations there was a play-in tournament. So we're going to get some sort of a weird little playoff tournament thing.
Okay. Another question, because I have not talked about this a lot. To be quite honest with you, there's not been a lot of basketball talk happening in my life over the last week. So you guys, if you've listened to more podcasts about basketball, then I'm asking you guys the questions. So say there's 2 teams, okay, the 8 seed, and then 2 teams within 4 games of the 8 seed in the West.
Just the 9th seed.
Only the 9th seed.
Yeah, the team in the 10 spot, they're done.
And the play-in tournament's going to be how many games?
So it'll be as if it's a best of 3, but the 8 seed starts out with a 1-game advantage. So the 8 seed only has to win once to advance, and the 9 seed has to win twice.
Oh, that's very interesting.
I mean, the whole thing, it's just everything is obviously different.
Yeah.
And they might as well add the, what is the ending called? The All-Star game ending?
The Elam ending?
Yeah, you might as well throw that in there as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, why not?
Just to shake it up.
We're just throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks.
It's the time to do it.
Are they going to hoop in masks?
They
And
should.
gloves?
Oh, man, they should.
Well, you know, a couple years ago, what was it, Depot that dunked in a mask during the dunk contest? He put on the Black Panther mask.
Oh, he did. I totally forgot about that. We've had a lot of very unforgettable dunk contests. And I basically forget everything as soon as it's over.
Did you say unforgettable or forgettable?
Sorry, they're very forgettable.
I was gonna say. I was like,
did I say unforgettable?
They're forgettable.
Especially if you're Aaron Gordon. Poor guy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I do remember him actually. That's the only unforgettable parts of it are the Aaron Gordon ones.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me who won dunk contest between the two Aaron Gordon contests? Because weren't there two?
I'd have to think
Diallo?
about it.
Wasn't one of? Wasn't?
Oh yeah,
Diallo?
Diallo, of course.
Okay, that's stupid.
And then the one before him.
Do you guys feel good about Diallo?
Shit, I
like
don't know.
now you're like, oh God, that must have been really boring if Diallo won the dunk contest.
I mean, it's his claim to fame, and so it's like if you hate on his play, at least he won a dunk contest. But
Does
I mean,
anyone outside of Thunder fans know that he won the dunk contest?
Probably
Kentucky
not.
thinks of
Kentucky
him.
fans.
Kentucky fans.
You know, like 10 years ago, there was a similar thing where a role player from the Jazz named Jeremy Evans won the dunk contest. And I only remember it because it's so crazy that this person who has no other notoriety whatsoever won the dunk contest. Like, to me, he's the example that I think of for why the dunk contest is so irrelevant.
Okay, help me remember this guy, because in that same dunk contest, I remember Jeremy Evans. But there was a guy from New York that was in that dunk contest too. That was only a dunk, like basically the same thing. And I thought his name was Walker. I thought his last name was Walker, but I was looking it up. Oh God, I don't know why I was looking this up a couple months ago, and I couldn't find him, and I couldn't figure out who he was. But he was in that dunk contest too. We need to figure this out.
I can't remember, but I'm sure I could find it quickly.
Man, it's crazy because I feel like if Aaron Gordon had won those, then, the dunk contest would have earned some validation. But, like, the first time, they messed it up, and then Dwayne Wade messed it up. And it's just like all these little moments have sort of just kind of crushed the contest.
Completely destroy any excitement that's happening.
Yeah,
with it.
it's one of the worst things about the league.
Do you think the NBA and TNT producers were so mad about D-Wade doing that? Or do you think they were happy?
It created so much buzz that I bet that they were sort of optimists about it, and they were like, you know what, people are gonna pay attention to this.
The NBA probably did not like it. TNT probably did.
Exactly.
So the participants in the Jeremy Evans dunk contest were Paul George, Derek Williams from the Timberwolves, and Chase Budinger. Chase Budinger was in the dunk contest?
Yeah, I remember that.
Budinger.
Is that all? There were only 4?
That's what it says.
Who am I thinking of?
Maybe I don't remember Paul George being in the dunk contest. Maybe I'm wrong, but if I don't remember him being in it, maybe he got hurt or something and someone subbed in for him. But
yeah,
I don't know.
God, what if my mind just made it up? Like our memories, we can't trust our memories.
Right?
You
Yeah,
guys
they're
know that,
memories
right?
of memories.
Exactly.
Of memories of memories.
Memories of memories?
Yeah, it's like
Oh
you
my
have a
God.
memory, and then when you think about it later, you change the memory at hand. And then when you think about it later, your memory is of the first memory of the thing, and so on, and it cycles. Then eventually you just forget the memory, and you made up something. You
Figments.
You don't even know your past.
Yep.
Holy shit.
We don't know what's going to happen in the future, and what we think about the past is actually bullshit that we kind of made up.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah,
narrative.
I have this, when people ask me what's the first memory I have this image of my dad changing my diaper and me peeing. Not even on him, just peeing.
Yeah, but you were
up.
6, so
Yeah, I was like 16.
Yeah, you were only you were only.
But I don't know if that's real. I could have just had that thought.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they'd be funny. I bet I peed when my dad was changing my diaper. And then my brain just decided, hey, that's actually your first memory.
I mean, it probably happened.
Yeah, it
Chances
probably
are.
happened.
Yeah.
But is it a real image? I don't know. What's y'all's first memory?
the thing that I would say is my first memory, although of course with the asterisk that it's probably bullshit because our brains lie to us.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I've got is when I was 5 or something, I remember being in the backseat of the car and not thinking the car was actually moving, and opening the door while the car was moving.
Whoa.
And looking down, hanging out of the car and just seeing pavement race past like it's like it was like when the Millennium Falcon jumps to light speed. Like that's the speed that the pavement appeared to me.
Yeah.
It's
And
a pretty scarring memory.
I mean, it was pretty memorable.
Yeah. My first memory was my 16-year-old babysitter. She had long black hair, and she would flip it over her head where it hung in front of her face like a curtain.
Like the ring.
And then
Like the ring.
she would put glasses on her.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, her head and the hair. It looked crazy.
That's funny.
Oh man. So getting back to the playoffs a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys think that the NBA obviously they're trying to like fulfill contracts with this, but do you think part of it was kind of like we just want to give Zion a chance to get in the playoffs because ratings?
Oh man.
I think so. I mean, it just seems too much of a coincidence for that not to go down. And also, the Pelicans were winning games at the end. They had an easier schedule towards the remainder of the season. So, like, they had a good chance of getting in the playoffs. And the NBA was probably pretty pumped about Zion being in the playoffs.
The Pels weren't taking L's.
That's right. So I think so
true.
yeah.
I think it would be stupid for them not to try to like help the Pelicans get to that 8th seed as much as possible.
Because who gives a shit about the Grizzlies?
Yeah, and like you want to see Zion versus LeBron in the first round. You know, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And it's Zion. Like they just lost so many games at the start of the season. And a lot of people thought, you know what, they have a pretty good squad. I think they'll be able to win and stay in good standing. And it wasn't really. I mean, they struggled a lot.
Yeah.
Until Zion came, and then Zion's there, and it has changed everything. They're good. I mean, I remember. God, do I remember? We don't know. I feel like I remember. The Pelicans feeling like a kind of scary team to think about playing in a regular season game because you just didn't know if you could beat them. Because Zion they have these
Drew
really
Holiday.
talented players. Drew Holiday, Brandon Ingram.
Lonzo Ball.
They have guys.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It makes a lot of sense. If the Pelicans are within 4 and they're the 9th seed, and they play the Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies are up 1, and the Pelicans win that first game, and Zion wins the second game, and then that's what gets them into playing LeBron. There is not a more exciting outcome or thing to imagine happening than that scenario.
Absolutely. And I think they kind of nailed it. Like if they weren't going to just go straight to the playoffs, if they had to do a playoff plus, I think this is the best way to do it basically because like what I was really afraid of is that they were going to do something that was too different from normal. Because if you do something that's too different, then that makes it easier for people to be like, well, the process was different, therefore there's an asterisk. But this way they keep it very similar because they're not reseeding 1 through 16. They're keeping the conferences. The only thing they're doing is having this play-in tournament, which is sort of a substitute for the regular season games that are being missed. And it's kind of structured that way because it's still giving an advantage to the team that's in the 8th spot. So I think they've kind of staved off these like potential future accusations of the process being too different for it to produce a valid champion.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a great point, and it makes me think about because we were in our text, joking so much about, when this comes back, a lot of players are going to be unhealthy or unfit. James Harden, fat or way too skinny. We don't know if James Harden is going to be good. Because he got skinny. It might be worse.
Yeah, fat, skinny, and drunk.
Very drunk.
Yeah, James Harden is a lightweight now.
Yeah, it's so we don't know if that's going to help him. We really don't know. And because he uses his body a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It might mess it up. But I was just saying, they probably had so many different meetings trying to figure out how do we do this to where no one can complain. Because we're going to get GMs complaining, owners complaining. How do we get everyone on board to where it's still fun for the fans? And I think it's weird. It's confusing, but it does exactly what you're saying that it does. And it reminds me of in our group text we were talking about what would be the funniest team to win the championship after like coronavirus, no one plays. And so what do you guys think? I'll say mine.
It
Do you
has
have
to
one?
be the Wizards.
The Wizards
has
would be
to be.
funny.
The Wizards of Is.
Do you have one off the top of your head?
No,
or you
go
want-
ahead.
Okay.
Tell me yours.
Mine was the Utah Jazz. If Gobert and the Jazz shut down the league, and then they come back and they're just like super in shape, and they won't. But that would be such a funny team to win. And if Gobert was Finals
That'd be
MVP,
hilarious. But they're definitely not going to win.
no, they're definitely not. Gonna
And I got to say, I'm a little bit pissed about this because if we had gone straight to the playoffs from March 11th,
We'd have them first round.
yes, and they're without
Bogdanovich.
Bogdanovich, Gobert and Mitchell want to kill each other.
Yeah.
And it would have been like the sweetest revenge for us to be like, you guys took a giant shit down our necks when we had like the Mellow squad.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have like just exercised so many demons, you
Yeah.
know?
It would have been nice. Yeah, it would have been nice to get the Jazz in the first round and beat them. But the chance that they somehow pull it off without Bogdanovich and the turmoil between Rudy and Donovan Mitchell, like,
Oh yeah.
that would have sucked
Well, wait,
to get
wait.
beat. I would have stopped being an NBA fan altogether.
Yeah, it's like
if
it's
they
like
beat us.
it's like when you play a girl 1-on-1, like there's no way to win there,
You're talking about wrestling.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, here's a scenario.
That was
What
that
if-
was a yak that was going by.
We could potentially still play the Jazz in the first round and even get the 4th seed.
Oh,
we
yeah.
could still play the Jazz and then get home court.
Yeah.
We're only one game behind them, I
Home
guess.
court.
They have to be pretty good. Yeah, home. I guess. Yeah.
When will
I didn't
we,
even. Yeah,
when
there's
will we
no
know
home
those
court, is there?
details? Yeah, like when are they going to tell us how that goes down?
Holy crap!
Are we going to
that-
be able to hear the players on the court?
Well, there are some discussions. I don't think anything's been ruled on this, but like people were like pitching ideas on things that we could do to make up for the fact that there's not a home court advantage. And I guess somebody said like, the home team should be able to designate one player that gets to take 7 fouls.
oh yeah, I
or
heard that.
stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
Whoa.
ass.
Yeah, that's stupid. But also the advantage of
That
home
would definitely
court.
make an asterisk.
Oh yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, and you can't. This whole thing, there's gonna be fans that give it an asterisk the whole time. But I pronounce it asterisk. What I do is I say it really fast. Asterisk.
Like Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah, I say Worcestershire sauce.
It's funny. We've had this conversation on the pod before. In one of our first episodes, we talked about
Really?
asterisk and the pronunciation
Asterisk.
of it. Yeah, I'm not going to go into it, but
Do you
it's just,
say-
it's kind of funny.
What else do I say? My dad always
kinda funny.
says like
It's just-
mature instead of mature.
It's very mature of him.
Yeah.
It's very mature. In February, do you guys make sure to get that double R in there?
No, man.
Fuck that double R, man.
Really? I always do it. February.
Yeah, I avoid
But
that
it just
hard
sounds
R.
like rural.
Yeah. I don't.
A word that gives me trouble is the plural of wasp.
Wasps.
Wasps.
That's true.
It's a
Doesn't
tough
sound
one.
like it gave you trouble. Maybe you've been practicing a lot.
It's been a real sticking point for me.
You know, I'll say I've been practicing rural.
Rural. Whoa,
Rural.
that was pretty good.
Yeah, oh,
Rural.
yeah, I've been practicing.
Rural.
Yeah, I've been going home to Inola a lot, so I gotta say it.
Wait, what's the other? What word did you just say?
I live in a town called Inola, or I'm from there. And it's
Yeah,
rural.
the
It's pretty rural.
their sports teams are called the Donghorns.
Yeah, we're the Donghorns.
Dong horns.
Yeah,
that's
it's
right.
like a longhorn, but instead of horns, you got dongs.
Oh,
I
whoa!
was like, where's this going? Oh, dongs.
I was like, what is he getting at?
dongs.
Yeah. So one thing about this return is like it's time for guys to get healthy, and Bazley is on muscle watch. I guess he was playing in like some
Skins
some
League. The
some
Skins
league,
League.
which
Oh,
I'd never
really?
heard of, but he's hooping.
Oh,
And
wow.
Robertson had that thing a while ago where he was saying that he's like ready to come back, which believe it when I see it. But
Mhm.
but that would be pretty dope if we got both of them back for this stretch run.
Yeah, it'd be cool if we got Robertson back. I mean, I'd just like to see what he is as a basketball player. But yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
I agree with that. And also there's something, so we still have, 8 weeks until the NBA season picks back up. We get 2 summers for Bazley to improve. So think about when a rookie has a season and then they have a summer and then they come back that second season. They've been able to have the experience of games, and now they know, okay, now I know exactly what I need to work on in the summer. We kind of get one of those out of Bazley because he will have had a 3 to 4 month summer, essentially.
Yeah.
Coming into this. So we might have a sophomore Bazley, which could be a really big
soft
advantage.
base.
Yeah. A what?
A soft base.
A soft base, yeah, but a hard base because he's bulked up. He's hard.
Rock hard.
Yeah, he goes hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wonder like what like if players' first off season is the most significant one. Like that is the off season that they can hone in on like one part of their game, and they know exactly what they need to improve on. Players like LeBron, they just keep going. Their off seasons get better and better, I'm sure.
But look at a guy like Steven Adams from rookie to sophomore year. Rookie year, you start to see, okay, he's not this jump shooting big that we thought he was coming out of summer camp. You know, he had a good like summer league. You're like, okay, he's strong. He has good IQ. There's not much going on there. Rookie year, he has flashes. Sophomore year, he basically starts to show, okay, he's a dependable player.
Oh, yeah.
He's way more consistent, seemingly just over 1 year. And I think you get that out of it's the same thing with Bazley. We had a lot of games where you saw some stuff out of Bazley that was like, whoa, if you could do that every game, you know, if your shot was like this every game, if you came and just didn't second guess yourself like you're not doing, you know, because he had games where it looked like he didn't know what he was doing, and some games where he was really in the flow of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference that's made from year 1 to year 2 is just game-to-game consistency and having that mental focus and that mental edge of, okay, I know I'm going to play like this with this squad.
Well, there's that too, but there's also like the skills that players work on during the offseason.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's really gotten to get a lot of skills work in just because of the nature of the stoppage of play, you know, with the pandemic. Because like, what he was really good at this year was he was really good at defense. He switched on time. He rotated over to like take away the roll or rotated out to the kick out to the corner. He was just really solid on defense. And then on offense, basically they told him, "Hey, don't fuck up. Go stand in the corner, shoot when you're open."
He started to get much more confident, like taking a fake dribble, go towards the basket,
attack that closeout.
Yeah.
But he wasn't asked to do a whole lot more on offense,
right?
Other than that, and because the break was so uncertain, and he was injured for part of it, I don't think he got to to talk to coaches or work with coaches about, okay, here are the things that you want to improve on with your offensive game before we come back. So that's something he would have been able to do in a typical off season. So I think, yeah, you're right that we could see improvements in his confidence and his rhythm. But I think we're going to have to wait for the next offseason for him to progress in his skills much more.
Yeah.
With some of these younger players, do you guys think that coaches and trainers might have tips or improvement tips for them, but they hold off until the off season? They're like, yeah, we should probably tell Bazley that he needs to open up this part of his game, but
especially
let's
with
wait.
The young guys, for sure.
Yeah, let's wait a little bit.
Or they get, they have these game-to-game things that they'll deal with during practice or when they're doing one-on-one training, coaching, whatever. But I think that they're the very specific, big game changes. I think you're right. They keep note of it, and they're like, hey, these are the things that you're working on in the off season, and this is why, But if because that's when people change, their shot.
Right, I was gonna bring that up.
You're not going to do
shot?
that.
Yeah, what if it's their shot and they're in the middle of the season as a rookie?
You're not doing it.
Yeah, you probably don't bring that up.
I think they're going to wait probably another couple off seasons, though, to tell him that he doesn't have to go get coffee for everyone anymore.
Yeah, he's done being the intern.
Strategic.
Yeah, wow.
Triage. That's low priority.
Hey,
keeps getting you coffee.
Yeah. It opens up a spot. A coffee guy could be one of us.
Hey,
Wow.
I'm gonna send him my resume.
You really think so?
Hey, anything you believe.
So let's move on to grading the non-players. So a couple months ago we had a podcast where we gave out grades to players and how they did this year, and today we're gonna grade non-players. So I'll start off. Billy D, I'm giving him a B plus.
Oh, B for Billy.
B, D for Donovan.
Donghorns.
Wow. The Donghorns. Why a B plus? Why not an A, man?
Lettuce.
Because
so close.
Like he was just really solid. As for why not an A, it's a little bit unclear to me where his positive influence ends and Chris Paul's positive influence begins.
The classic.
So I'm not going to give him all of Chris Paul's credit. But I thought he did a lot of solid adjustments this year, playing a more conservative defensive scheme, making an emphasis of not committing too many fouls and to not give up cheap points. And I think he handled the Ferguson thing well. He started him until there was someone who was better, and then he just kind of, he shifted the roles, and it wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
With Ferguson being the head case he's been, that could have been a much more toxic thing, and it turned out to be like pretty mundane. And like I said, he meshed with Chris Paul really well. And there was that game against the Rockets when we were in Houston and we were missing like Gallo and Bazley, or not Bazley. Oh, and Steven Adams got knocked out in like the first quarter, and I think Noel was hurt too. And we just gave tons of minutes to like Diallo, Burton, Bazley, and Dort, and we won the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That takes good coaching.
Yeah, that's a Billy D highlight of the season. I got to give him an A, maybe an A minus, but I don't have any reason to go down to a B. Unless I'm looking at the whole scope of Donovan's career. But if I'm looking at this individual season, just because Chris Paul was so good, it doesn't give me any reason to downgrade him to a B. And I don't know if he could have done a better job. And also, he wasn't a Coach of the Year candidate, like a solid one, but he was discussed. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if you are discussed for Coach of the Year, then you probably did like an A's worth of a job.
I agree with that, and actually, I'm going to disagree with you about your reasoning for giving him a B plus, which is not. Basically, you didn't give him an A because you want to give credit to Chris Paul for his leadership. Now, I want to give two examples: the Clippers, Doc Rivers, and Houston Rockets, the two teams Chris Paul was last on. And his leadership was not accepted and implemented on either team. And I do think that the coaches could have done a better job of that. Doc Rivers, notoriously known for being, a star of the team that he coaches on. He's not just the coach. He is a player's coach. He's essentially a player out there. And he tried to split the leadership between him, Chris Paul, Blake Griffin. It messed things up, obviously.
Right.
And then you didn't have...
and those teams underperformed.
Yep, they did. And same with Houston. And now you see Chris Paul coming in, and he's really trying to, be a leader, be a locker room leader right at the start of the season, trying to get other young teams, the other young guys involved and get them going, thinking, okay, I'm not really going to be here. I'm just going to be a professional. And then he decided, I'm just going to ball out.
Yep.
And you see all the different things that he's been allowed to do. And I do think that is Billy Donovan kind of deciding that I'm going to let this happen and it's going to benefit the team. And I think that is like a healthy managerial decision to make,
Yeah, that's a really good point.
You guys have convinced me. Plus, I mean, we got way more out of Bazley and Dort this year than anyone would have expected. And you got to attribute that to, the player development that has been evident throughout his tenure with the Thunder.
I agree.
Yeah, he matched perfect with Chris Paul.
Sam Presti, what do you guys think for Sam Presti?
So when you say Presti, we're considering the offseason last year.
Yeah, I'm thinking like the NBA calendar year, which starts July 1 through now.
I mean, I don't see any other reason for giving Presti anything but an A+. Especially the hand that he was dealt, the team imploded, and it was the end of an era. It was the end of the inaugural Thunder, and I mean, Presti handled it literally like the best he could have, and now our future is like looking really nice. It's paved.
It's looking good.
It's looking good.
Paved. It's the road paved with picks.
And you know what? Like on Down to Dunk, we've been reading the book. What's the book called? Do y'all remember?
Boomtown.
Boomtown. The book I'm reading.
Poontown.
Boomtown, baby.
Why are y'all reading this?
If I'm gonna die for a word, then my word is Poontown.
But we read the chapter on Sam Presti, and it just reminded me of
Straightening the basketballs.
dude, it's great. But like, it reminded me, but also informed me on just how large of a hand he has over the entire organization. And I think seeing this team after leaving the Russ, KD, that first era behind, and seeing how everyone has come in and behaved and become professional, and it really, I mean, as fellow Thunder fans, it doesn't really feel like a huge loss, or been a huge gap between these two things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It just
it's
feels
crazy.
like, okay, we just pick back up and get going back with player that we hated before, or at least I didn't like before, and Chris Paul.
Same.
And I think that has such a big I think it just says a lot about the organization, and I think it says a lot about Sam Presti.
Yeah, absolutely. As bad a deal as the Harden trade was, I think that's negative equity. He dug himself in a hole there. The PG trade and the Westbrook trade, I think in total were as good as the Harden trade was bad, if not more so. He got just a historic return for both of those players, really. I gave Presti an A. The only reason I didn't give him an A+ is because we never found a deal for Chris Paul or Gallinari, because everyone was thinking at the beginning of the year we were going to flip both of those guys and get some more picks, and that didn't happen. But at the same time, like, the fact that we didn't means that there wasn't a deal on the table that was worth it. So you can make an argument to give him credit for that as well.
Right. Yeah.
Just a masterful job overall.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
A plus plus plus.
A+.
Chris Fisher.
Chris Fisher, man. Do I got some things to say about Chris Fisher?
I give Chris Fisher a B+. I give him a Wonder white bread.
Oh God! Yeah, it's just like C-, which is what the Thunder wanted.
Yeah, I was
It's
gonna
like
say.
just-
I mean, it's C.
Punches the clock.
He's just exactly
Says the
what the
words.
Thunder wanted. Okay, Brian Davis, you gave people quotes and you gave someone to make fun of, and then it went just a step too far. And they're like, we're not going to do that ever again. We're not taking that chance ever again. We're going to get the most bland sounding and bland opinionated person we can on here that we can trust is not going to say anything that we don't like. And that's all that matters.
If you combine the good parts of Fisher and Brian Davis, you would actually have a pretty good commentator.
You'd have a really good broadcaster.
Yes.
A solid B.
Yes.
A solid
B.
Maybe B+.
The one thing I'll say for Fisher is that he's not a homer. He'll say if like a call is fair or whatever, and that's refreshing because Michael Cage, who I gave a D-,
What?
that's nasty. is just the biggest homer ever.
Yeah.
Which also might be what the Thunder want. They're like, let's make the one guy a homer and the other guy super bland white bread, Wonder Bread.
If they ever have to replace Michael Cage, they might replace him with one of the Storm Chasers.
Oh God, yes, that's great.
It makes sense to have such a homer for the Thunder because we haven't ever, obviously had a professional sports team. And I feel like when an area has a pro sports team, it gives them access to tune into the rest of the league. But, we've had OU, we've had OSU. So people are homers. They're big homers. So you get Michael Cage in there, and even though he does a D- job, people love it because they're saying what they're thinking.
It's what's very interesting because Matt Pinto is like a huge homer too, the biggest homer ever, and he's a great radio broadcaster.
That's a great point.
But he's such a big homer. But I wonder if the decision to say, hey, I think our local people want homers is not being very mindful of how we are receiving media now or how we're taking in content now, which is over Twitter, which is over YouTube.
Yeah.
It's like on League Pass, all this stuff. We have access to all of these different broadcasts, all of these different highlight clips. And I know for me and my friends, we don't really like the homer thing because we like other teams. We like other players, right? Like, I like Zion Williamson. I don't like if my home team is like, oh, Zion's coming in. That was a foul, or that wasn't a foul. I'm like, no, we need to appreciate this.
It's not respectful of our intelligence either.
Right. It feels like they need to start treating us as a smarter. The basketball fan is getting closer to the baseball fan in terms of intelligence of or IQ of the game
and just
and appreciation
behavior.
Yes, very true. But so yeah.
Well, what's your grade for Pinto?
For Pinto?
Yeah.
Oh God, the skill is immaculate.
Oh yeah.
But the opinions, I know I wouldn't like him as a person. That's the thing. So I'm gonna put him at a C.
Oh, okay.
I know if I was dating his daughter and went and had dinner with him, I'd be like, I hate this guy.
See, that's
look at this guy you brought home. What an asshole.
See, so Fisher makes me feel nothing, and then Brian David or Cage makes me feel dumb for just listening to him. But I gotta say, Pinto makes me feel sort of like frustration, towards maybe the plays or the players, and it's because he's critical, and I like that he's critical of the team because you can kind of hear the frustration in his voice. So the Thunder turn it over with a lousy possession, and you're just like, yes, that's what I want. It's a little colorful, so I give him a B-.
Okay,
I've got him at an A because it's like you said, the skill is immaculate. He always has an interesting word to throw out, and he knows how to not abuse the interesting words.
Yeah.
Like he'll use it once for the whole game, and they're like really colorful words, which is such an important skill for radio. It just kind of brings the sport out through it, what is actually a pretty limited medium. Just listening to people's voices in your ears, what a boring thing to do.
Yeah,
he said self-consciously. I met Pinto one time, and he was really friendly. So good on him for that.
Yeah, friendly to your face.
How was his hug?
I don't.
I forgot
that.
we could hug strangers. I forgot that hugging people or shaking people's hands.
Oh yeah, dude! I saw a high school buddy today out of nowhere, and he's a plumber and was all sweaty. He came up to me and shook the shit out of my hand.
And you were like, "Is this okay? I don't remember."
I mean, I don't shake plumbers' hands under any circumstances.
That's true.
Man. Yeah, it was a bold move on his part.
He got shit and Rona on that hand.
Yeah, but we're homies now.
I shit Rona.
Well, on that note,
that's the last stop on the bus today. Taylor, thanks for coming on the pod. You can follow Taylor on Twitter at Taylor's 2 cents. That's TUE2. You can also follow us on Twitter at Thunder_bus_pod, and we're on all the major podcast apps. Until next time, thanks for riding the bus this week, and Thunder up.